Good morning, grade 3. Welcome back to the English class. How are you all doing today? In the previous class, we started the story Simon Says. So how far have we reached? It was around Christmas time and the writer's grandfather has a guide dog named Simon. So one day, grandfather went out for a walk with Simon and Simon led grandfather into the path of a speeding car. So grandpa met with a terrible accident. He was admitted to the hospital and Simon, the guide dog, was feeling very depressed about the incident. He felt he was responsible for this condition. The author tried to comfort him. He tried to cheer him, but nothing seemed to be working. Simon was not eating or drinking anything. Grandpa was still in hospital. And now let's see the rest of the story. All of you please turn to page number 23 in your textbook. So please look at your textbook. It was a couple of days later when I returned from school that I made the discovery. Simon was sitting on the porch in front of the mesh door, but he did not react to the sound of the rickshaw when I got home. He did not reply to me when I called out to him. He just continued to stare straight ahead at Ma, who was in the kitchen. So what happened? One day, the writer was just home after the school. He used to come back home after the school in a rickshaw. So when he was back home, Simon was sitting there on the porch. But Simon did not notice the author coming. It seemed like Simon did not notice even the sound of the rickshaw. He was just sitting there and he was staring at the author's mother who was in the kitchen. Simon, I called loudly. Finally, he turned his head, stood up and trotted towards me, wagging his tail, a big doggy smile on his face. So it seemed like Simon did not hear the author coming home in the rickshaw. So what did he do? He called Simon loudly. He called him by his name. But even then, Simon did not seem to be responding much. But after calling his name many times, he finally turned around his head and looked at the author. And now he has a big smile on his face and he ran towards the author. So by now, the author had made a startling discovery. Simon can't hear properly. He's deaf, Ma, I said when I walked into the kitchen. Deaf means not being able to hear. That's why he led Grandpa into the path of that vehicle. He could not hear it approaching. So now the author realized that Simon cannot hear properly. It seemed like he is deaf. So the author is thinking it may be due to this reason that he did not notice the speeding car approaching Grandpa. He might not have heard the car coming towards him. So he was talking about this to his mother. Ma stopped cooking and thought for a minute. He must be almost 10 years old now, she said, wiping her hands on a cloth. So it's possible his hearing is going. So what did his mother tell him? She was telling him, Simon is getting old. He's almost 10 years now. So it might be that Simon is losing his hearing gradually. It's possible that way. So the age must be taking a toll on his hearing. Simon still wasn't eating, and the next morning, when I took him for a walk, his legs gave way and he sat down heavily on the grass. So he was still not eating or drinking anything properly. He was getting weaker and weaker. And when the author tried to take him out for a walk, he almost fainted onto the grass. Ma, I shouted as I tried to lift him up. Come quick, Simon can't walk. So the author got scared when he saw this Simon fainted on the grass. So he called out to his mother and asked her to come quickly. It seems that Simon can't walk. Ma helped me pick Simon up and we took him to the vet. Vet here means a doctor who takes care of animals, a veterinary doctor. So Simon was so weak that he had to be taken to a vet. Simon was running a fever and severely dehydrated. Dehydrated means when you drink very less water or you don't drink water, the water content in our body gets really low. You become very weak. So when Simon was taken to the vet, he was running a fever and he was severely dehydrated. So he was put on a drip immediately. I stayed with him until he was settled, and for the next few days spent as much time as I could with him as he fought for his life. So he had to be put on a drip because he was severely dehydrated and he also had a fever running. So the author stayed with Simon in the hospital till he recovered. He tried to spend as much time as possible to make Simon feel better. It was a week before I could visit Grandpa again. He looked so frail and weak and was bandaged all over. He looked at me as I held his hand and whispered, "Get me out of here. How is Simon?" I found it hard to speak about Simon, but he seemed to read my mind. It will do him good to meet me. He must feel like I have deserted him. Then Grandpa told me how much he longed to be home, how he hated being in the hospital. So when we got over, the author could visit her grandfather at the hospital, who was recovering from a terrible accident. Grandpa was very weak, frail and bandaged all over. But when he saw the author, he immediately asked her about Simon. And he told her about how he hated being in the hospital and how he longed, how much he wanted to go back home. The author could not tell Grandpa about Simon. She knew it would make him sad, so she could not tell him about Simon. Simon was not eating or drinking anything and he was not feeling well without Grandpa. It took Ma 2 weeks to convince the doctors to let Grandpa come home with us. By then, Simon was back at home. When he realized that Grandpa was back too, Simon rose shakily to his feet and began to bark, almost trying to dance around, getting under our feet as we helped Grandpa get into a chair. The attendant who brought Grandpa from the hospital told me, "Keep the dog away. He will jump on the old man and hurt him." But Grandpa put up his hand and said hoarsely, "Simon is too smart to do that." Hoarsely means in a rough voice. So, after 2 more weeks, Grandpa could come back home from the hospital. And Simon was eagerly waiting to meet him. So, when he saw Grandpa back home, he got really excited. But seeing Simon's excitement, the attendant who brought Grandpa home back from the hospital, he told them to keep that dog away because it might hurt Grandpa. But Grandpa did not like this attitude of him. So in a rough voice, he convinced the attendant that Simon is not such a type. Simon is not a dog who does not understand what is going on. He is very sensible. There were only a few days left before Christmas and we had to look after 2 patients in the house now as we finished our preparations. But as the days passed, both made a slow, steady discovery. So now there are practically 2 patients at the home. One is Simon, the other one is Grandpa. Both were only recovering from the terrible accident. So the family had to take care of both of them. And they both made a slow and steady recovery. On Christmas Eve, I found Grandpa clicking off his mobile phone. I thought we were pals. "Why didn't you tell me how ill Simon was?" Grandpa had obviously been checking with the vet as well as talking to Ma. So on the evening of Christmas, the author saw her grandfather was doing something on his mobile phone. He understood that Grandpa was talking to Simon's doctor and he was also talking to her mother. So it seemed like Grandpa knew Simon did not have a proper hearing. But the author felt really bad that Grandpa did not tell her about Simon's condition because they were so close to each other. I did not say anything. The next morning, after picking up the presents from below the hastily decorated Christmas tree, I found Grandpa's bed empty and Simon nowhere in sight. I was rushing out of the room to inform Ma when Grandpa walked in unsteadily from the veranda led by Simon. So it was the day right after Christmas. The next morning, the author was picking up presents from below the Christmas tree. And she noticed that Grandpa and Simon are not in the room. And she rushed to tell Ma about this. And then she saw Grandpa walking unsteadily and coming from the veranda. And Simon was leading him. "Grandpa, you were able to walk again?" I exclaimed. "How did you do it?" So it seems that Grandpa is now back on his feet. He can now walk again. I needed to get strong again for Simon. Simon says he is not ready to go yet. "Grandpa, you are playing," Simon says again, I said happily. So what happened? Grandpa was trying to make Simon feel better because Simon was feeling very bad that he was responsible for Grandpa's condition. So it seemed like Simon was telling Grandpa that he is not ready to go out yet, and Grandpa wanted to cheer him up and to show Simon that he's okay. He started walking again. So, how was the story, children? Did you like the story? See, all of you should read the story, the whole story once again, and then you can proceed to the exercise part. So, in the reading comprehension exercise, the first section is to write T for true or F for false for these sentences. So, based on your reading and understanding of the story, you have to mention whether the sentence given here is true or false. The next section, B, is to answer the questions given there. So read each question very carefully and answer it based on the story in your own words. The next section is think and answer. Here you have got 2 questions. Read each question carefully and based on what you think about the situation, write the answer in your own words. Now, the next section is the values and life skills exercise, and this is about empathy. Let me read the question to you. Grandpa and Simon share a special bond. They feel responsible for each other. Though Simon was loved by Rita's family, many animals are often treated badly. So, do you know anyone who behaves cruelly to animals? Is it a good thing? No, we should have empathy towards animals. So, in the story, Simon says we saw how they feel responsible for each other. Now, with your elbow partner, list all the animals that live in your neighborhood. Read the hint questions, answer them for each of the animals on the list. Now, here what you have to do is that you have to list or name all the animals that live in your neighborhood, like cats, dogs, maybe at some homes there may be rabbits or some other pets. You can list down all these. And then you have to note down how are they treated. And then, do people look after them? What could you do to help make an animal's life happier? Just think about all these and note your points in your notebook. Now, the next section is the vocabulary exercise. Now here, you have to read the sentences given there. Read these sentences from the story. Identify and circle the meaning of the highlighted word. If you are not sure, find the sentence in the story and read it. So here, sentences are given and in each sentence, a particular word is given in bold letters. So you have to identify what this word means. And then you have to choose the correct option from among the choices. So if you are not sure what that word means, you can go back to the story, read the sentence where the word is given, then it will be more clear to you the meaning of the word will be more clear to you, and then you can easily finish this exercise. So children, once you have written the answers to all this, you can take a picture and send us through Teams. So let me remind you the homework for the day once again. We have to read the whole story once again and do the exercise till here. So that's all for today. We'll see you in the next class. Till then, bye.